So initially I thought to play this video for you, as you see the link right here. But I think it's copyright protected, so I'm not going to play it in this video. But I'll make sure to leave the link in the comments section just in case you would like to watch it. What I would like to do is to show you how a soundtrack can change. I'm going to do my best to do this, how a soundtrack can change the state of the mind or the feeling of the mood that's embedded in some piece of visual information. I'm not sure if I will be successful, but let's give it a try. So let's see what this background music, what's the effect of this background music on you when I am reading this. So, okay, so there are 7 elements of digital storytelling. Number 1 is point of view, and it refers to what's the main point of the story and what's the perspective of the author. Number 2 is the posing of a dramatic question, a key question that keeps the viewer's attention and will be answered by the end of the story. Number 3 is emotional content, and it refers to the serious issues that come alive in a personal and powerful way and connect the story to the audience. Okay. Alright, so I don't know how that feels, but let's go for another music which I have here. I've downloaded this from YouTube. I've downloaded these from YouTube, and they're actually free, so you can download them from YouTube too. And this is called, let me see, what is it called? It's called The Machine's Dream. That's a cool name. So let's listen to it and see how it affects you. It's a bit mysterious, I think so. So there are 7 elements of digital storytelling. Number 1 is point of view. What's the main point of the story, and what's the perspective of the author? Number 2 is a dramatic question, a key question that keeps the viewer's attention and will be answered by the end of the story. Number 3 is the emotional content, which refers to the serious issues that come alive in a personal and powerful way and connect the story to the audience. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so well, basically that's how I hope that it had an effect on how you were processing the information. That's what I mean by the effect of a soundtrack. So yes, music or other sounds that support and embellish the storyline. So you need to think about the sort of emotions that the music creates in the viewer, and it also affects the sound of your voice in some ways. I think when I was reading the text during the first music, I think I was happier, and I felt like I was speaking probably faster. But when I was doing it for the second time, it was like mysterious, and it felt like I was in a cliffhanger or something. So soundtracks really affect our emotions and modes, and we do need to take them into account and practice using better soundtracks in the background of our digital stories. Number 6 is economy, and it refers to using just enough content to tell the story without overloading the viewer. Remember, a digital story is about 2 to 5 minutes long. If it's beyond that, the viewer probably loses interest in it. So it has to be a powerful message which is set forth without overloading the viewer with a lot of information that's going to be difficult for them to process. And finally, pacing, the rhythm of the story and how slowly or quickly it progresses. For example, if your story is 5 minutes, you don't want to leave everything for the last 1 minute to happen. So a very slow sort of progress from minute 1 to minute 4, and suddenly a very quick progress from minute 4 to the end. That's probably not going to be a very interesting story. Okay, so I've been talking about the impact of soundtracks and voice on the emotions of the audience. So it would be nice to talk about emotions for a little bit, just to get a glimpse of what really creates emotions in us. I think it would be nice to have some sort of scientific discussion on the creation and the emergence of emotions in us. So I would like to start off by telling you about the biology or the chemistry of emotion, and I try not to digress too much, because this topic really gets me excited, and I want to talk about a lot of things when it comes to emotions and the biology and the consequences of the changes of chemistry in our blood on our thinking, and the parts of the brain that change, and they change the functionality, etc. But I try to resist that temptation to digress from the main topic, which is digital storytelling. But I should say that we should expect some sort of a little bit of digression, to be honest. Very briefly put forward, and I'll promise that I move on from the topic quite fast. So let's talk about the chemistry of emotions a little bit. So I'm talking about the two groups of hormones and neurotransmitters that create what we call good feelings and bad feelings. And this slide is actually inspired by a talk by Phillips, a TED Talk. I'll leave this link in the comments section for you, just in case you're interested to watch it. Go ahead and watch it. It's really a good one. Also, there's another link here which I will also leave for you, which is related to the topic that I'm discussing here. So the question is, how does the speaker use digital storytelling techniques to affect the emotions of the audiences? And does the, by speaker I mean the person who creates the story and perhaps who is in the digital story, who is featured in the digital story. Now the question is, what do you mean by emotions? And to answer that question, I'm reviewing two groups of hormones and neurotransmitters that bring about emotions in us. One of them is the one on top, which includes dopamines, oxytocin, and endorphin. So dopamine, which has a chemical look like this, a molecule like this, is responsible for creating focus, motivation, and memory. So if I'm making a digital story, one of the most important things that I want to make, one of the most important effects that I want to bring about is to get the audiences to focus on the content of my digital story. And therefore, I should ask myself as to whether the audiences are now focusing on what I'm talking about or not. If they focus on the content, then they will be motivated to listen more and dig deeper, and they will have a better memory of what happened. For example, one of the techniques that you could use is to use a cool background music. Let's see if this music works for us. Okay. Now the second one is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone of generosity, which creates trust and bonding. It actually suppresses testosterone and is also suppressed by testosterone. But the healthy amount of oxytocin brings about romantic attachment. But I don't think that this music is quite romantic now. Right now it's quite mysterious, makes it quite mysterious. The interesting thing about oxytocin is that it can, like I said, it can suppress testosterone. That's why in men, too much oxytocin, that's too much romance and bonding and those kind of feelings in the air, can at some point start to feel irritable. And that's why perhaps one of the differences why men and women are different, because oxytocin affects them in different ways. Now, so let me not digress too much from the topic and go back to the third hormone, which is endorphin.